Hey friends, welcome to King Arthur Pendragon 5.2, the Great Pendragon Campaign, episode 45. This is another high energy impact introduction. We're going really fast in that first part because I wanted Dunamis to be like loaded up on that 1.5 speed and then be forced to slow down.
Now we just talk really slowly.
You do the Jonathan Frakes slow motion.
The one where he's just asking questions.
So, you ever ridden a bicycle?
Oh,
It's
man.
crazy what that guy's produced ever since Star Trek. He's involved in a bunch of episodes of Leverage, whatever that show was called, where he just asked questions while doing sometimes real, sometimes made up stuff. Who can say, really? Is there any business we have to discuss before we get started here?
I don't believe so.
We're not going to be here next week, I believe.
Yeah.
And then we won't be back in for 3 wait. I think we're off this next week, then we're back, and we're off again.
I'm gonna get off again for a few weeks, yes.
Yeah. This is how we go, guys. This is how we go. You're here for the long haul. We got you scheduled in for the next decade. Okay. Well, Spoon and James straight up are just gonna only have preteens or older by the time we're done.
It's a generational game, so not only will our characters change, but our players will change to their offspring as well over time.
Horrifying to think about. Horrifying.
By the time we finish, Julia will probably be ready to start playing RPGs.
Well, you can start her on King Arthur Pendragon. Truly the easiest to learn, very simple RPG that is indicative of the entire... Oh my god.
At least it has a simple singles, core mechanic. You roll a d20 and you want to get under your skill.
The price is right.
Yep. Roll and pray.
Yeah.
All right, Glimo, thanks for that resub.
Anytime.
We start in the year 501. Winter is no longer coming, it's going. Winter is going away. But before we cut to that Pentecostal feast, we see first, it seems like it's probably a young boy because they're wearing pants, but as we get closer, you kind of see that it's like a young girl running around after a horse, trying to get the horse to do what she's saying. And the horse just continues to take 2 or 3 steps away from her. And we also see Sir Leo nearby sharpening a sword while sitting on a log. And he says, "You know, in my time, pretty young girls like yourself didn't just wear pants wherever they wanted to. They remained in the castle in dresses." The girl looks over her shoulder and gives him a fierce look, and then jumps up on the horse, which surprises the horse, which then begins bucking around and dashing. Now, don't get me wrong, a bucking horse is very dangerous. But I know when I'm talking about this horse, you're imagining like a modern super huge horse. And let us disabuse ourselves of that notion, because the French went into great detail to indicate that their horses were regular horses, and English horses of this time period were small, ill-tempered, poorly fed, shitty horses. So you're imagining a huge horse, and what you should be imagining is a kind of small, exhausted horse. Barely better than a pony, really. So while there may be some danger to this young girl, it's not as bad as you think. We're not talking whatever the Budweiser horses are. Clydesdale or whatever?
Clydesdales.
Yeah, absolutely not. That thing is like this thing's grandfather, okay?
Clydesdale's very good tempered, though, I will say.
Yeah.
We have one at our wedding.
Very cool. Did you ride off into the sunset on it?
Well, no, they're not, because they're not riding horses.
Yeah, I mean,
Clydesdales, they're draft horses. But we just, because we did it, we got married on a horse farm, and my wife said, "Hey, it'd be cool to have have a horse in the photographs."
yeah,
So we
yeah.
had a Clydesdale named Regina was in a lot of
Nice.
wedding photographs.
Also, James, any horse you ride is a riding horse.
Yeah, that's true.
Carry on, AP.
Yeah, thanks. Trying to remember where I left off. The horse was bucking. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me get my
the child's
glasses
safe.
out. I'm gonna do Princess Bride here. Where did we leave off? The eels. No, Grandpa, we haven't got to that part yet. The cliffs of insanity. After the girl gets the horse back under control, she rides it out next to Sir Leo, who is studiously ignoring her while sharpening his sword, which is clearly already clean and sharp, and she says, "You will address me as my lady, Sir Leo. I will be a knight soon enough. And your behavior here is rather crude and boorish for a gentleman of such advanced age as yourself." You see that he just kind of keeps his eyes down and chuckles, and we cut away from our version of 1.5 Man, which is my Tyrion and Bronn comedy podcast. It's these two. And let's be clear, this is not the Hound and Arya. No, this is definitely 1.5 Man for sure. We are now at the Pentecostal feast. There are plenty of people here, with the inclusion of the same 2 Saxon princes, although one of them is calling themselves the Earl again, as last year. And the Countess is discussing tribute once again. Perhaps the biggest change is that the tables are being reorganized so that the Countess's table sits in a position which is now being called above the salt. And there is a special guest for tonight's dinner, sent from London, from the flocks of Duke Ulfius himself. Roast flamingo will be available to those of the highest honor and glory of this land, which include all of you, who will be seated at the high table to sup upon this dish, complete with a fresh batch of Roman garum sauce, that sort of fermented, fishy umami liquid. Although, again, I'm so confused when we switched from saying savory to umami. It feels like that happened at some point in, like, 2012. I don't know who made that choice. You know what I mean? Like, who made that decision? Why have we all switched to it? It's a nice savory fish sauce to go with your roast flamingo.
Sounds fantastic.
There...
I'm going to assume, given the past, that certain servants, like taste test the food that's been sent to us before it gets served to the high table. Of course, yes.
Are you waiting to hear from the servants whether the flamingo is poisoned or whether it's good?
No, poisoned. Obviously, because we've had red weddings in the past in this setting. So
Red weddings, purple weddings, it all just happens.
You see, I'd never seen the poison work before.
Oh my god, what an incredible scene. Was that really the last good scene of Game of Thrones? Could it be?
I gotta say, I did rewatch the other day the Coldplay Red Nose Day thing for Game of Thrones. Have you seen that one?
No.
Where Chris Martin from Coldplay decides to put together Game of Thrones a musical. They bring in all the cast, and it was a thing for Red Nose Day about 6-7 years ago. But they've got probably like 10 or so of the actors from Game of Thrones that do this little sort of 15-minute skit. It's quite funny.
Well, they probably got my favorite Game of Thrones actor. I know, we're all thinking it at the same time. It's Ed Sheeran, the best actor on Game of Thrones. Played such a huge part. There's so much to do here at this feast. So much gossip, intrigue, news. All of the people here are present. You tell me what you'd like to do, and I know that at any time we can have flashbacks that you can call up where Kendric goes to Duplains or where Kyned goes to speak with King Pellinor.
Ooh.
You can tell me when you want to activate those flashbacks for the rest of the episode.
Remind me, last year we didn't pay tribute because we provided something else. We provided soldiers.
Knights.
Is that right?
Provided
Yeah.
knights, yes.
Okay.
And then
But
they
I
weren't going
assume-
to pay the knights, and then the knights almost rioted, and they paid the knights.
Mhm. That's how you get the Crusades. Um,
That's one of the way you get a crusade for sure. Sometimes you just have to be the Byzantine emperor and go, hey, you want Jerusalem? And the Pope goes, you know, as a matter of fact, I do want Jerusalem.
so I guess then if there's no such offers this time, then we're back to the money side, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I would like to get some news, like about
Very
what's
well.
happening around the former kingdom.
You begin to head around the tables in the hall, looking for people who are carrying news. You see that Kyned's jonglers are present. Their instrumentation is more complicated now. They include a dulcimer, a glockenspiel, and they have 3 backup singers. They appear to be performing a bardcore version of Nelly Furtado's Promiscuous, which is blowing the minds of everyone present. They've never heard a song like this before.
Excellent.
The news that you hear in particular, Kendric, is that there is a messenger who has arrived from both counts, the Count of Hertford and the Count of Huntington in the east. Both earls are looking for volunteers to help defend their counties for the good of all Britons from the Angles. The Anglish horde has a good angle on them, and they are overrunning the east. The counties of Hertford and Huntington have sworn a mutual defense pact with each other, and they are looking... Now, let's be clear. They're not saying we're hiring mercenaries. They're not saying we're looking to pay knights. They're saying we're looking for volunteers for the good of the realm.
Yeah, so they're not going,
Please,
hey,
Sir
we're going to
Knight,
pay you.
for the
Yeah.
good of the realm, you must travel east. The Anglish horde is attacking my lords, the Earl of Huntington and the Earl of Hertford. Can I count on you, Sir Kendric, the old wolf?
Hertford and Huntington
Yes, Huntington.
are a long way from Salisbury.
Not particularly. Probably like a week. A week's ride.
There are matters that must be taken care of here at home. I'm sorry.
You there! You! And you see, like, Gwent is shuffling cards in a way that makes it clear that you should never play poker with him because you absolutely will be cheated. Turns and he goes, I'm about to make a name for myself. As the messenger goes to him and delivers him some news.
Oh, man.
As we're about to move on, we get a scene interruption where a tonsured monk grabs your arm, Kendric, and says, You are the inheritor of the legend of King Lucius the First. Are you not? The banneret knight, Sir Kendric.
That is I.
Please, sir, I've come a long way to see you. I have here assembled documentation which proves that you are the rightful inheritor of the kingship of England, and that you should immediately take command of all of the armies in the field and drive the Saxons and the Anglos out. Please, sir, please just look at these genealogical charts.
Does he have him with him?
Yeah, oh yeah, he's this is the intern you met. in an elevator who's throwing paperwork at you falling out of a manila folder situation, but it's with parchment.
Because I know there was a while back the guy that I paid to like spread the legend that I was, somehow descended from this
Lucius.
Was it King Lucius?
You have
Okay.
his sword.
Is that the sword I got from the Countess?
It was, you got the sword of Lucius at some point, I believe. It was a historically ancient sword. There's nothing special about it.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember I got a sword from the Countess that belonged to one of Boudica's generals.
Yes, this might be the same sword.
Okay. So I guess I will take a look at these papers.
I mean, there are people in this genealogical line you've never heard of. Like, this does not match your family's genealogy. There's some tenuous, like, you're like one of your great grandfathers had a single L in his name, Galleon, and you're looking at 2L Galleon, and that is the only thing connecting these two family trees together.
So it's like very early 23andMe.
Yeah. Please, sir, we must have a High King of England to respond. You are the chosen one, born of destiny, bearing royal blood.
I think Kendric puts a very large hand on his shoulder and says, "There is a High King. He's out there. It's the son of King Uther. He will return when the time is right. Until then, we must defend ourselves."
No, please, but can't you take a look at these papers? Don't you understand? Don't you understand the realm? The realm! It's your responsibility, your duty, your God-given right.
I am but the Knight of Salisbury. I am not a king.
He's so humble that he denies his royal blood. That only proves how worthy he is of it.
I am honored and flattered by your faith in me, but I cannot make this declaration.
All right, this monk is losing his mind, just like he's losing his hair. And as you let go of his shoulder and pull away from him slightly, you could see that he's being, like, not exactly bounced from the feast, but, like, gently removed by a valet who has come over and is like, "Come with me, sir. There's many discussions we could have. We have improved genealogical charts right this way in the attached outhouse, one of the annex buildings, two wings over. Yes." Anyone else have something they'd like to do at this party? There is more news, more intrigue, more gossip.
Are my fellow spy masters about?
They are about, indeed.
What news do they have for me, or do I need to roll for that?
Why don't you make an intrigue roll?
I shall. That's a success.
Ooh, a 2 is pretty successful, I would say. In the background of this scene, we can see physician Quintus of Ilchin is giving a spirited discussion to the court about the importance of the balancing of humors as it relates to boating. His new recommendation is a course of boating up and down rivers in order to stimulate both the senses and the spirit closer to the divine, and also the moisture can help balance the humors out if it's too dry. If your dry humors are too dry, the moisture of the river. People are listening to his incredible talk. He is also attempting to sell moisture supplementation in case people need it. It is a I should stop reading chat. I should just stop reading chat while I'm talking. He's attempting to sell moisture supplementation in the form of what is very clearly grapes. You are getting tuned into the intrigue of the local area, Kyned. And what you are picking up is that there's a weird situation that's happening. Now, part of being a member of a larger espionage organization is that you have more ability and knowledge to approach the right people from the right areas to get information about your allies, but those people are loyal agents of the local area, so they're usually less forthright and willing to come out with information that would be against their best interests and their liege. With that said, some things are slipping through the cracks for you. Things that Sir Foulbred de Havillard would maybe rather that you didn't see about Silchester and Ulfius in particular. You're starting to pick up hints that there was a line of knights, basically almost all the knights who have replaced the baronies and castle holds that were once held by Sir Blaine, the westernmost knight who was in contention with your lord. Those knights are now also all dead. So there is a rumor that they went to a feast and that the feast was poisoned and they all died. The cook who made it was killed. No one knows anything about this cook. However, you're starting to piece things together.
Flamingo, was it?
Sorry?
It wasn't flamingo, was it? What they cooked?
No, it wasn't flamingo. You're starting to piece things together. There are parts of the story that don't hold up, like all of these guys being in the same place at once. You get like witness reports from people who are very obviously lying and have been paid to do so. You're starting to piece together that these knights are not, they didn't die eating a feast together, because you're getting very similar reports of a band of rogue bandits in the area of Huntington and what is this other place? Hertford. I keep wanting to say Hartford, but it's Hertford.
It's actually pronounced Hartford in the UK as well.
Fuck!
Yeah,
You fucking British and you're Norwich and you're all of your fucking shitty words that don't make any goddamn sense.
Your Leicester spelled Leicester.
Yeah, Leicester's the worst. Although that I feel is a bit more Irishy, Celtic-y than it is Britishy. But how about Portsmouth? It's not Smith. It's Portsmouth. Why isn't it pronounced Portsmouth?
Look at the way that the artist Enya used to spell her name, how it's actually spelled before she changed it. Aoife.
I hate this. I'm too American for this bullshit.
So it's ETHNE. Sorry, was how Enya's done. But yeah, Aoife is Aoife. That's right.
Perfect. Kyned, you are starting to pick up that it seems like Ulfius has been donating the services of his knights as a sort of winter raiding force, and they got slaughtered. And he doesn't want it traced back to him that those men were his knights. And so they were undercover as bandits and raiders and highwaymen and that sort of thing. And they needed, when everyone died, they needed an excuse for why the entire Western Reach is empty. They died at a feast where they were poisoned by a jealous peasant. Which means those castles are now left empty because once again, a second group of knights has died at a feast, an infamous feast, really, leaving no heirs behind because they were just recently appointed in the last 10 years. The border is becoming increasingly more unstable. That's what I have for you.
Interesting.
Ah, yes, the first nutrition supplement scheme. Rapes. You got them. I would say raisins probably were the first nutrition supplement scheme for sure. Like, what if we had stuff that will keep you from getting scurvy, but it would keep for a long time?
I mean, aren't raisins just grapes anyway?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're definitely grapes that have been processed via the drying.
Yep.
And sometimes salting. But what do I know? I'm not a raisin smith. You would never see me go to a town called Raisin Smith.
Raisin's mouth, though, absolutely.
That definitely sounds like a place where H.P. Lovecraft would set his story. Do not stay at the fishmonger's place in Raisin-Smith. Any follow-up you have there, Kyned?
Yes, but I'll let someone else go first. But yes, I will have follow-up to this.
Gwgan, what do you got?
I mean, I'm going to go and tap on the zeitgeist and just try and get, once again, what the people... So you can do your funny voices where you read out, like the...
Yeah, but I'm not going to do that this time.
You're not? Okay.
No, I'm going to do something different. I'm so sorry.
I can't get the gossip today, then?
You are getting gossip. I'm just not going to do the gossip. Because you've insulted my gossip before, so I don't want to do it that way.
Yeah, so I'll do it again, too. So... but that's what I'm doing, is I'm just going to go and...
You're intimidating me? I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah, I'm just going to try and see what the people are talking about, what the general vibe is of Salisbury right now.
I mean, the vibe right now is that wars are popping up all over the place. The local people, of whom some are present for the feast, and then, of course, the servants, some of the lower-ranking nobility, they're talking about Saxons fighting Saxons, local people fighting Saxons, Irish fighting Saxons, Irish fighting locals, Irish fighting Irish, Picts fighting Irish, Welsh fighting everybody. There's a question of what even is King Idris? He's from Brittany. Is he French? Is he English? Does he belong here? When will his juggernaut ever stop? Is he not satisfied with what he has gained? Could he become the next High King of England? Wow, there's a Delaware earthquake happening right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Not just a truck driving past.
No, this is some seismic disturbance here for sure. The other thing that you hear people talking about is their concern about the young count. When will he be of age? When he becomes a knight and a full count, will things be better?
He should be an earl, shouldn't he? Because his father was an earl.
I mean, it's a title of affection. I mean, you're an earl of a county, so you're technically a count. People become earls when they want to seem French.
Okay.
Now, he's not scheduled to be raised to earl and knighted until 509. And some people were sure that in this, the year 501 of our Lord, Jesus would return and that everyone would be taken into the sky.
I mean, there's still time for that. It's only the Pentecost.
That's true, but they thought on the first day of the year 501, the start of the 6th century, truly 500 years after the birth of Christ, it was finally time. Now, some religious scholars in the background, you can hear that monk going around with his papers, and he's like, well, actually, what if it was 500 years after the death of Christ? So it won't be for another 33 years or so. By the way, I have this paperwork here that could be custom tailored to making you the High King of Britain. For the proper fees, of course.
No, so I think that other than just trying to get the people's vibe, I guess Can we establish yet what the Saxons here want in terms of tribute? What they're seeking?
They want 100 pounds, libras. They want the actual same tribute that's been offered every year, and the Countess seems very confident in not paying them and simply going to the, I want to say, Essexians, the people she goes to every year so far, who have been very helpful.
Okay, I mean, I'll support that. Not that she needs my support, but you know.
But they are here
anyway.
to posture, of course,
Yeah.
and it should be noted, to spy on the happenings of the court in a legal
And I'm sure,
way.
and we probably do the whole thing of like, you know, we entertain their requests, and you know, we talk about how this is the year we're going to work with you, and but then it just doesn't happen.
It's just a lot of used car salesmanship. You know what? Gwgan is probably the guy who makes the offers, and then he says, I have to speak to my manager to see if I can bring that price down.
Tap the castle.
We'll see if we can knock those.
You can fit so many knights in this thing.
We'll see if we can knock those fees off for you.
Yeah. We might be able to swing 100 pounds, but only if you throw in a pair of fuzzy dice and a flamingo. Any follow-up you'd like to do, James, now that I'm not doing the silly voices this year?
No.
Now that I'm not following the exact script
if you're
written
not,
by
if you're
Greg
not playing with
Stafford.
me, I'm not playing with you.
Oh, wow. Instead, I bring you more information and more talking than what's listed there, and now it's you're not playing. I'm sorry I'm not playing the game you want me to. Anyway, Spoon, we're back to you. What do you want to do?
I think I'd like to trigger my flashback scene to go into playing.
This entire scene takes place in black and white.
Okay.
Dutch angle. We're just
Must not play
following
with wires.
Kendric as he's wearing a fedora and like a high collared coat, walking down the street in Duplains.
Someone's playing a violin.
It was a dark night in a township that never slept. What I was looking for was men, good men, fighting men. You head to the gatehouse on the river, over the bridges, and you are looking to speak with the men there and see if they will become your mercenaries.
Mhm.
I wonder if oratory is the appropriate skill here.
Okay. Let's see here. It's not a great chance, but there's a chance. No, that's a failure.
All right, you're speaking with the men here, and it's clear that the men who guard this area have chosen this area specifically. They are old soldiers who are no cowards, but they also see little reason in risking their lives when they don't have to, when they can defend their town from raiders from the east for an extremely good price and for a comfortable life. With that said, you can't get all of them, but you can get some of them.
Okay.
There is a younger man, not a young man, a younger man around his early 30s, although this is the medieval times, so he looks much, much older than what we would think of as 30, wearing a skull cap and like a gambeson. You are introduced to him as Nor, N-O-R, and you can hear that some people refer to him as the Hobgoblin. He is the leader of a lay of cavalry. So this is like a scouting light cavalry squad that has joined and been training up here, that call themselves the Bright Plains Riders. And after hearing your pitch, all of the other spearmen, all of the other what you would consider like sergeants or men-at-arms leave, except for Nor, whose men come in to form like a file behind him. And they have almost a sort of Roman legion-esque mystique about them. Nor has his skull cap, and he takes it off before you and says, My lord, these other men, they are old. They are weaker now. But if you would have the service of ours, our contract is up soon. My squadron and I would serve you as a detached men-at-arms in service to your house, perhaps, or to you in particular. Men that you could take riding into battle beside you, or scouting out in front of your force. We are hardy woodsmen. And you can see when he's saying that, what he's really saying is poachers.
Sure.
You've got a few of those, don't you?
Well, he
Yeah,
does
I've got-
live beside the woods, so
Yeah,
you know.
I specifically have one in my employ for I think another couple of years. Says I would be.
Well, all I'm
glad.
saying is you don't go looking for sailors in Nebraska. You know what I mean?
Sure. I would be honored to have you in my service. I think this could be the beginning of a excellent partnership, and we will work on expanding our company to include some other forces as well.
There is a question of payment, my lord.
Yes. You would be either held under contract by myself or through my patronage get work across the island, depending on where the conflict goes. Is that acceptable?
I didn't hear any specific numbers, my lord. It must be my
I see.
hearing.
How many guys are here?
I think 8.
8? Okay. So let's see here. All of your men are mounted?
He nods. And we have destriers, my lord, French horses.
Oh. Very, very well. I believe then under contract with me, should you not be out fighting across the island, I will keep you at a pound a soldier, and then you as the officer, Nor, I would give you an extra pound.
Can we rely upon you to ransom us back should we be taken?
Yes. Should you be captured, I will ransom you.
I will speak with my LA, and we will return to you with an answer by the end of the evening. Even if we should agree to this contract, we will not be free for another month. At which time we will remove our residence from Duplain and ride to your lands, where I hope we can be accommodated.
Of course.
Is there a banner name under which we should ride, or is the Bright Plains Riders acceptable to you?
We will speak about that in a month.
Very well. We just cut back to you, like, sipping on some beer, very clearly not having a flashback. You know, like, this was all just television. You're not thinking about that moment. You've got that head empty, no thoughts. Glimo, what's going on with Kyned right now?
Kyned would like to gather up the Order of the Axe for a little conversation.
Very well.
Let's huddle up.
All right.
I've heard some news, and Kendric, I believe that it probably most directly affects you and your lands.
Oh?
Apparently, all of the castles that Blaine's once held are now empty again. There is the story that is being told is that Orpheus's new knights had another red wedding. They were all poisoned.
Wasn't Flamingo, was it?
It was not.
Oh, thank God.
It actually didn't happen that way at all. Apparently, they were disguised as rogue bandits off to the east in Huntington and Hartford, and it went badly for them.
See.
So all the lands directly across the woods from you are empty. I will, I think we should decide, and you can have the largest vote as to what we do with this bit of information.
It is unsettling to have these lands undefended yet again.
These are part of Salisbury, right? These lands? Or not?
No, still Chester.
Yeah, these are still Chesterian lands. But this is not the first time that Duke Orpheus has let them lapse in their knightly defense.
I imagine the Duke's defense would be that he's caught all these banners to fight the Saxons, and so therefore his knights don't have time to raise estates.
Perhaps you just need to take them in as part of your lands.
I feel as though, and on one hand, we are doing Duke Orpheus a favor, securing his western border, making his land safe for his people. On the other hand, I can see how he would see this as an act of war if we were to move in and take over his, especially if we were to stay there permanently and just make them a part of Salisbury. I feel like there must be some sort of middle ground that we can find that is beneficial to both parties.
We could certainly ask the Countess if she wanted to make a formal offer to hold the lands in escrow, shall we say.
I think, regardless of what we decide, we should tell the Countess about this and see what she has to say.
Definitely. I think there's a possibility, for example, to occupy and work these lands while they're unoccupied, and then the moment that Orpheus asks for them back, we hand them back. But what we have collected is the income of those lands in the intervening period, which will only help Salisbury given our current tributary issues.
Indeed.
Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know whether we can convince Baron Wheel to make a move here and let the blame fall upon him should Orpheus's ire be raised.
Sounds more like exchequer business than spycraft, so I will leave it to you, Gwgan, to speak with the Countess as to how she'd like to handle it.
Well,
of course, I'm available if she needs to talk about the source of the information, but
I think we should all go and see her on this respect.
Very well.
I agree.
As your group goes together, Kyned, you are the intrigue, the spy, the master of espionage, and as you Assassin's Creed push your way through the crowd, you can hear a conversation happening between his chef and his apprentice as they're bringing out another tray of the roast flamingo, where he's like, "No, I'm telling you, every time I serve the leaf of the coriander plant, I make sure to sprinkle in a little of the lye soap with it, so everyone gets the same flavor. You have to equalize the flavor profile." The apprentice is like, "Of course." He's got hands clasped behind his back. "Brilliant. absolutely brilliant. Yes, I learned it from the Franks. They can be very straightforward with their cooking.
Definitely in my head now, whenever we walk somewhere, like Kendric and Gwgan walk like through the clear path.
Normal people.
Yeah.
Kyned is like weaving.
Specifically walking through other groups just so they can push them out of the way.
Yeah.
Even when there's a clear path.
Hey, that... I have not played a Assassin's Creed since 2, but in Assassin's Creed 1, that was revolutionary technology of just like putting your hand on people's shoulders and pushing through crowds. I was like, wow, this is actually incredible.
This is like real life. Well, my son's just started this Assassin's Creed journey. He's starting with Odyssey. So
he's starting with Odyssey?
Yeah.
Okay. This is fine. I'm not upset.
That's not a terrible place to start, though.
Oh, you don't think maybe the beginning of the series is the place you should start?
I was about to finish that thought by saying, if you're not starting at the beginning of the series, Odyssey is a good place to start.
You're not starting with the one Kristen Bell is in? The best one? It's all downhill from there once they kill her character off. That's all I'm saying.
Spoilers, AP.
For a 20-year-old game?
We just said that he hadn't played it.
He's not watching right now. Is he hovering behind James going, no, Kristen Bell's character, who isn't even alive in Odyssey, will be dead before Odyssey? I don't even know who Kristen Bell is because I'm like 12.
13. He's 13.
I've never seen Victoria Mars. God, what was it called? Veronica Mars.
You seen Frozen? Didn't she do? Wasn't she the voice of Anna
yeah,
in
she
Frozen?
was in Frozen, but she wasn't in Frozen. She was the voice. So, you know. Yes, audience, lie is so tasty. Just like, what did I call it? Leaf of coriander, rather than what it's actually called. Yes, its lie is as equally tasty as leaf of coriander to me. So, it's cilantro, my friends. Leaf of coriander is cilantro.
In America.
Okay. I didn't know it was called other things outside of America.
Yeah, no, it's called something else here.
Okay.
I'm thinking rocket. Now, rocket is what we call a arugula.
Arugula.
Yeah, cilantro. Australia.
I didn't realize that people didn't have sticks of butter outside of America.
Coriander. We call it coriander here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the leaf of the coriander plant is cilantro.
Yeah.
So, James, what you're saying is I called it correctly. You tried to correct me.
No. I'm just saying that we don't call it cilantro here. You said it was cilantro, which
That's
I said
true.
Cilantro,
all right, but 51% of my viewership is American, so I feel like letting them know what it is. This is the problem with all of you Europeans and you European expatriate Australians. Okay? Every time we talk about stuff, you're like, ooh, for every pound you put out, for every... sorry. I was going to do the space joke of being like, for every pound you put into space, but then I realized I was doing it wrong. For every kilogram you guys put into space, we put 2.2 pounds. Did I finally get it right? Just remember, I have a EIT license. I should be able to do basic conversions. Well, James, would you like me to explain the difference between Fahrenheit and Celsius, or would you like to talk to the Countess?
Let's go talk to the Countess.
I'm doing all temperatures in Kelvin, then, from here on out. You pull the Countess aside. I think the people at the feast are used to the Order of the Axe having secret meetings with the Countess at the Pentecostal feast every year. It's just the thing that people expect to have happen. You know,
I mean, secret would imply that it's not obvious we're meeting. You know, they're private.
I
meetings,
mean, not secret insofar private. Sure, private meetings. Sure, your word choice is correct, James. You've corrected me again.
All right. My lady, Kendric has brought some interesting information to the table we should discuss. Kendric, I don't want to take your Fine, why don't you tell the Countess what you learned?
I mean, Kyned.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, yes.
Milady, there's been some incidents in Duke Ulfius's lands, and the lands that were formerly owned by Sir Blaine's are empty again. Apparently, the story that is being spread is that there was another poisoned meal, and that all these knights perished in that. But people that I trust tell me that Ulfius had sent his knights out in the guise of bandits into our neighbors to the east in Huntington and Hartford, and it didn't go well for them. So now those lands lie empty. I bring you this because these lands are very close to where Sir Kendric is, and should anyone take advantage of the emptiness, they would have a clear run right into Salisbury.
I expect that Sir Kendric will prepare our defenses properly then. I don't believe that any incidents other than runaway serfs have been of note. Our border has been stable for almost the entirety of my time here in Salisbury. Do you have some reason to suspect that Saxons or Angles will come pouring over the border?
I have reason to suspect that Gwgan's left without the guidance of a knight and noble are easier prey to fall to banditry and unscrupulous men with swords taking what they can. I mean, you saw what happened in Rydachin. I would hate for that to happen on our eastern border.
You have previously raided these lands, have you not, Sir Kendric?
I have.
I
Several years
suspect that
ago.
your presence there would go unloved.
Perhaps. But
Doesn't need to be Kendric necessarily, but we have an opportunity here that we could temporarily occupy these lands, hand them back the moment that Ulfius asks for them, but in the meantime, collect their incomes to help refill our coffers, all under the guise of assistance to our fellow by keeping his land safe, to prevent banditry.
I'm uncomfortable with offering guises to a good neighbor. Duke Ulfius is one of the legates of the Collegium, and some would say he is one of the highest ranking people holding this kingdom together.
We need not do it in an underhanded way. We could simply offer as neighborly that if he needs a year to replenish his forces, we could steward for him for that year.
I will
For a
send
price.
a missive to him asking for an explanation. In the meantime, Sir Kendric, I understand that in the past, hunting parties have come over to our side of the border.
they have.
It would not be amiss for hunting parties from our side of the border to wander into their castleages and the attendant hamlets, thorps, villages, and towns. To make sure that there are no bandits, the hunting parties might lodge there and make a show of military force. Not to seize any tax dollars, but to make sure that these bandits are potentially scared away.
Of course.
I think it would be very wise, indeed, for you to have a series of hunts. We could do with the loss of wolves on the border, metaphorical and literal.
As you say, Countess, I will begin organizing them.
I would prefer to send my daughter an excellent gift of a pelt.
Very well.
Bring me back the best one in the forest, then.
I will do so.
That is your extent of a deceit you may offer. We are good neighbors, good Christian neighbors. And even if you are not Christian, I expect the concept of being a good neighbor extends beyond religion.
Indeed.
We will offer stability to our neighbor in this time, because Ulfius has done no wrong to Salisbury. He's always been a good friend. We cut back to a man falling off of a castle wall going, "Ah!" Nobody here knows about. In fact, nobody knows about that except for Ulfius now.
Yeah, well, and I think so because Kendric had suspicions, and then he went, I'm putting those suspicions to bed. We're burying this hatchet." All
Is
right.
there anything else?
Not to me.
I believe so.
Very well.
Thank you for your wise counsel, Countess.
Thank you for your wise counsel. Let us take a break before returning to the party. Perhaps 5 minutes?
Excellent.
That sounds amenable.
Let's run some advertisements, shall we? That's all I'm going to say, all right? I don't like painting models. It's just not something I enjoy. I don't understand it. I bought the model painting video game. I couldn't get anyone to teach me how to paint models, and when I was painting the models, I was like, I thought this would look cool, but actually, I managed to make it look bad. I
I'll
made
send
it look worse.
I didn't send you Spoon. I did the follow-up course to that airbrushing course. I did remember the Forest Heresy tank, and then I've done the one to do infantry as well. So
Nice.
I'll post it to the Pendragon chat.
Yeah.
You need to get
Very
to the
cool.
point
Please.
where you're doing the who are the guys that do the war game series?
Like
Tabletop Tactics.
No, I'm talking about the like Napoleonic warfare and
Little Wars TV.
Little Wars. Yeah, you need to get that Little Wars level of where you hide LED flashes inside of like styrofoam so it looks like smoke with explosions going off in it. Yeah. When you get to that level, James, when you can paint styrofoam and LEDs, then I'll be impressed.
Did you ever see when they did the blind box Star Wars miniatures, like the same as the D&D miniatures for a while? They had like so they did like they were just like 28 mil scale Star Wars miniatures, and a friend of mine used to actually go and get like fiber optic wire to like drill like point five mil like troughs through the inside the lightsaber and put fiber optic wire through to make these lightsabers glow.
Spoon knew what was going on immediately, and I'm like, why would you drill a model? What the fuck? Why
No,
would you
like,
have fiber optic cable? What are you doing?
That's way too much.
Are you
Way too
running a
much.
fiber optic cable directly to a microchip inside it to RFID it or something? Like, what the hell? I didn't anticipate you'd be using it for lighting. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
There you go. That's in the picture, Spoon.
It looks like Spoon was the learner, but he's now become the master. James, I believe it's your go around this merry-go-round of things to do with
I mean, that was a group thing to say. I don't know if I have anything.
It was a group thing based off of Kyned's discussion.
Okay.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Look, we can cut back to Spoon if you want to.
Yeah. No, I see the floor.
You muted?
Sorry. Let's see here. So it's back to me.
Yes.
I think
And if they don't dance, they're no friends of mine.
I think Kendric is just going to be like going over plans for his hunting parties now.
Okay. Interesting.
Of who he's going to send across the border.
I would like a roll, please. a hunting roll.
Got it.
Can't wait for you to roll a 20 here.
Nope. That is a success.
Okay, 12's pretty good. It's pretty close to your 17. Yeah, you know, you don't have your full retainership here with you. You probably have one or more squires here and family members, and probably not like all your uncles, brothers, sons. Certainly you don't have any of your like masters of the hunt. You almost certainly didn't bring your poacher to the Pentecostal
of
feast
course
with
not.
you.
Of course not.
You know what I mean? But you got
Yeah.
enough people that you have a pretty good idea of how to get the message out when you go back home tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean,
To like you've got like zones sectioned off and people are responsible for places. Doctrine has been drawn up so that people understand that you're not invading, but you're there to make a show of force so that
yeah.
people who have loose fingers get the idea that it, you know, maybe you can get away with raiding this town on a Tuesday, or maybe a hunting party from Kendric the Old Wolf shows up and absolutely fucks your day up. And it might be easier to just go further north where some looser purses are rather than get involved in all of that nonsense.
It's just, you know, that scene where it's like just like math stuff flying by Kendrick's head as he's
It's simple
organizing,
geometry.
yeah, thinking about these who he has at his disposal and you know how and where he's going to send them. And I think he's actually going to organize a hunting party, like a legit hunting party for himself to go get that pelt for the Countess.
Yes. That was what the role was really for. Just
Okay. Yeah.
Somewhere out there, Kendric gets a pop-up in his Crusader Kings 3 UI that says a legendary heart was spotted. Begin legendary hunt, 300 ducals. And he goes, whoa, 300 ducals? I've never even had 300 ducals before.
Struggle is real.
Oh, man. Glimo, you should get involved in our Crusader Kings 3 playthroughs.
It's been wild.
I just sent one to Soundwave today, a Sicilian playthrough. Sorry, a Sardinian playthrough. But I was like, I'm going to take Corsica and it's going to be really easy. And at the end of it, I was like, I'm 91. I've finally taken Corsica after 80 years of rule. This is the hardest island to conquer in the entire world. Oh. You get the people out there, you get the word moving, everything's good. Kyned, what do you got?
I would like to activate my flashback.
All right. Your flashback activates, but you are not in black and white. Instead, you're animated. You're animated like an 80s cartoon. So, you know, lots of bright colors, very simple animation style. People are moving as little as possible. Sometimes when people are talking, the shot is from the back so that you don't have to see their mouth moving, sort of deal. You're talking to King Pellinor, who is seated at your table, in your manor. He has taken his crown off and just has like his sheathed sword that he's holding right here while seated, and he goes, "Ah, Sir Kyned, it's good to see you again. I have greatly desired more conversation with you. I appreciate you putting up with me before, back when I had that curse where I had to sing everything."
How did you lift that curse?
Several different witches. I had to kill them.
I've had that day myself, so I understand.
Then I had a saint bless their blood and bathe me in it. Very normal thing in this time period.
100%.
I don't suppose you have word of my homeland. I hear that you are a man who knows things.
So, what little I heard is that there's strange happenings in Morgaine's enchanted forest, but that's what little I know.
Incredible. I've lost the trail of the questing beasts. Perhaps that is where he is.
Perhaps.
You look well, Sir Kyned.
Why, thank you.
Last time I
As do you.
gazed upon you, one would say that you were a man who looked half dead. The weight of the world came down upon you.
It has been a harrowing few years for my family, but I believe we're finally on the right track. And you, my lord, have you, I know you're not currently questing, but how has it been?
Oh, I'm always questing. You may lose the questing beast, but I am a knight who has sworn myself, as my family has always done so, that our heirs shall always chase after the questing beast. It wants to be hunted, you understand. It needs it in order to survive.
I see.
Magic and gods, these things fade from the world, but so long as we believe in the questing beast, it will never leave us.
Is there anything that I can do to aid you in your quest?
Oh, sheltering me this night in your manor and offering me food and drink, victuals and victuals, is more than kind enough, Sir Kyned.
Well, very well. I can send for one of my minstrels if you'd like some entertainment.
I would indeed enjoy some entertainment. I have heard of your minstrels far and wide. They have invented a new form of music called the bardcore. I understand, I've never heard it myself, but I understand that they are performing a song called Eiffel 65 Blue in bardcore, which is particularly excellent. I understand it can help one settle their humors upon listening.
Certainly much better than being on a boat.
I've been on many boats in my time. Captain of the boats, really.
Kyned will call forth his breakfast at Tiffany's.
This is the first time we see them with both Glockenspiel and Dulcimer. But it's animated, so of course the instruments are huge and their arms move like this. We cut back to the present with Gwgan.
I mean, I still have nothing. I had nothing the last time around.
He's got nothing. Very well. Back to Kendric.
I think that's it.
Kyned.
I guess my last thing is I'll ask my minstrels if they've heard any more from good King Pele since he left our estates.
They have heard more of what is going on in the Gales. Apparently, there is concerns that the three Cadlus, brothers who wish to conquer the De Gales estates, are gearing up for another attempt. Of course, good King Pellinor should be leading the personal defense of his own lands, but he is quite amiss. Well, I wouldn't say amiss. It is understood that he has committed himself to this quest, and that it is honorable and right for a Night King to do so. And so others must take up the defense of his lands in his stead, other members of his family. But the years have started coming on these Cadlu's offenses, and they don't stop coming. and they only need to succeed once. You can make an intrigue roll if you'd like to institute any plots to assist the Cadloos or interfere with them. Supply raids, information.
Yeah, if I was just trying to remember, didn't we send some men a few years ago?
That was to
there was that whole diplomat thing where Kendric got involved as well.
We went over there.
Oh, it was None to Leod.
Yes.
Was what was happening last year with the Gale. Okay. Okay. I enjoyed the hospitality of King Pellinor, and if there's anything that I can do to aid his family in their fights, said I could make an intrigue roll to set up some plot there.
Okay.
That's a success.
That does look like you have aided. Good King Pellinor. So, I think what we get is the 3 Cadloos. Each of them is like getting reports in their tribal holds where they're like, my brother. I'm sorry, my lord. I've heard that your brothers are particularly weak right now. The supply raid upon their cattle could finally allow you to take supremacy over them. And they're like, hey, yes, now that they aren't looking the right, and they're all spending the spring, like, raiding each other. And they're all like, wait, I thought you said that they were undefended. They were on full defense. And then they raided us. But my lord, I received very credible reports from our spy network. Kyned, the first version of Adam Smith's invisible hand. The buying and selling of information across the realm, equalizing all prices and making sure everything eventually costs exactly what it should. We move into the summer phase. If there's any plots or trips you'd all like to take, we can do that. And then there are a number of events that happen through the year.
I would like to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't have anything from my side. I'm somewhat interested as to how Kendric's hunting goes.
Yeah, I've nothing either.
So Kendric will organize his hunting parties and send them out. We're not raiding. Obviously, we're protecting those lands.
Yes, I understand. You're the prototypical referee of the Shire, which will one day evolve into sheriff, which will one day evolve into men in the Wild West, who ride around with a crossbow post type and enforce justice in the lands to keep people from stealing animals, which, yeah, you referee these shires for sure. And the magisters in the land in which you dwell.
The other thing I would like to do is find some work for my mercenary company.
Well, now that's something quite different.
Mm-hmm.
Now, light cavalry can do a lot of different jobs. What would you like them to do?
Great.
I think I would like them to work as scouts for now, since there's only 8 of them.
For which organization would you like them to do this?
Is there a war going on in Cornwall right now?
Oh, there's wars going on everywhere, buddy. But in fact, there is not a war going on in Cornwall this year. I just sent the map on Discord showing all of the places where conflict is happening this year.
Okay.
Surprisingly, Cornwall, quiet this year.
Yeah. Okay.
You would note that they also did not send recruiters this year for the first year in like 6 years.
I'll send them into Wales.
You'll send them into Wales.
I like King Nanteliod.
Okay.
So if he'll hire them, I'll send them to him.
You send them to Wales, and they end up fighting into Gales. Somewhere out there are hill tribesmen. They're like, this is going to be some easy cattle to raid. And then the banner of the Bright Plains Riders comes over the top of the hill. And they're like, an ambush from out of a river creek? Who could have expected that? And then they get run down by cavalry. And they're like, no, cavalry, an 800-pound horse stepping on me. Literally the worst thing that could happen to me. Okay. I am going to ask for a battle roll at a -5, representing Nor the Hobgoblin.
Sure.
Level of success or failure.
That is a failure at a 13.
Okay. When he comes back, it is with losses. They've lost at least 2 of the horses and 1 of the riders, and several people have taken injuries, including a debilitating injury where one of the men has lost an arm. So you're down to an allay of 6. With that said, they do come back with... let me go see here what an appropriate salary would be to bring back for their lord.
How do you
It's a whole
spell
chapter.
away?
A-L-A-E.
A-E. Okay.
It's Latin for wing. How many denaries are in a
240.
How many?
Well, it's 240 shillings to a denarii and 12 denarii to a libra.
12 denarii to a libra. Okay.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around.
Sorry, 20 shillings to a denarii. So it's 240 shillings to a libra.
Gotcha.
Okay, so some of these items are very expensive. Yes, indeed. I think that after, like, pay for themselves and feed, they managed to bring back 10 libra for you in their pay and, like, rating. They're gifted, like, a sheep for themselves, which they've slaughtered, and then the after parts of the sheep, they've given the money paid for that to you, and they were paid cold cash for it. You get stories of how they were fighting in the gales against the Cadloos.
And I will find the like the man who came back minus an arm. I will find him work on my manor.
What job would you like him to do? Traditional jobs in this time are storyteller and baker.
Yeah. Give me a minute to look at the Book of the Manor and Retinue here and see what.
Oh, this guy's pulling out books that I've ever. Is it called Book of the Retinue?
Yeah,
I believe so.
I've heard of this one.
Yeah, but Book of the Retinue covers stuff like, all the various different household roles you can fill for people. So do you want a coiffeur? Do you want a?
Of course. You need a court gardener and someone to manage your swans.
Yeah.
In case you're wondering, that's a Crusader Kings 3 reference. I will now list some of the events that happened this year in a very dry recitation by Greg Stafford. Otherwise, James will insult me again.
Excuse me. This will not stop you from insulting you again.
Yes, but if I don't do this, you will insult me. I didn't say it would keep you from ever insulting me. A small fleet of Saxons lands on the south coast near Chichester. I don't know how you fucking pronounce that.
Chichester.
Chester. Okay, sure.
Yeah, Chichester. It's a very short. Yeah. Very
takes
short,
over that
short
city. The new chief of the Saxons by the name of Port marches north, where he meets with the army of Cerdic, who we all know and love, King Cerdic, who comes to see what has occurred, and there is a battle, and Cerdic is defeated. Cerdic agrees to give a couple of cities to Port, who renames one after himself, Portsmouth. A small but determined band of Saxons breaks into the nunnery at Amesbury and tries to take Queen Igraine. No doubt they believe that forcibly marrying the queen of the former High King would allow their king to obtain some legitimacy and prestige. All of you are awakened to this. Riders are sent out to inform all of the knights of the land to pursue as they flee east. However, the Order of the Axe are specifically ordered to stand down and return to Castle Vagon to patrol the local area. You are specifically requested to not go on the pursuit party.
Okay.
Why are you smiling about that?
I'm wondering why we were specifically requested not to go on the...
Damn, that's wild, because you are specific. You yourself, Kendric, are specifically a person who was personally accused of stealing the queen's infant son.
Sure.
You might not be the best person to be in her presence ever.
But I am an excellent hunter.
Yeah.
I also murdered someone under her protection.
Yeah, that's what
Your
what I was
whole order is
about.
fucking tainted. She hates you guys.
She hates us, I know.
You later hear that the Knights of Salisbury set out in pursuit, but only found a band of dead warriors where they found the queen waiting nearby with her daughter, Morgan Le Fay. When asked what happened, Morgan offhandedly replies, "They were careless." The queen still looks shocked and refuses to talk about what happened, claiming that she did not see it. King Gwgan and his Angles make a surprise move in the early spring. They storm the city of Royston and sack it before the Earls can respond. This is Earls Huntington at Hertford. The two Briton armies march out, but the army at Hertford is destroyed before it can link up with the other. The Earl of Huntington retreats into the Beal Valley and is besieged and then assaulted. He and his men are all killed or enslaved. Anglish messengers then demand tribute from the neighboring lands of London, Riddichen, Silchester, Lonazep, and even more distant lands like Lindsey. However, their messengers get lost and are unable to find their way to Brunn or to Brute. That's rough, man. Sometimes when I'm looking to get tribute from people and my messengers get lost on the way, I'm like, I just don't have that diplomatic range, man. I just can't how do I reach these counties? How do I reach these kids? After a long summer of marching around the mountains with some deft maneuvering and surprise appearances of an Irish army from Leinster, King Nantiliod of Esquivallon traps the three Cadlus and a battle ensues. The Cadlus are defeated and they are all killed. After the defeat, King Nantiliod names the nobleman Maelgwyn to be king of Norgals to serve as Nantiliod's vassal. There's also a whole chapter called Morgan Le Fay's marriage that we're not going to run because, again, the queen fucking hates all of you and would never invite you to travel for most of the summer with her. However, in the little land of Lyonesse, a queen undergoes difficult labor and at last gives birth to a handsome, strong son. Alas, the queen dies from the effort. The boy is named Tristram. And with that, it's a little early, but we're going to go ahead and take our final break here before we begin the Christmas Court. The Christmas Court. I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes for that third.
Do it. So as well.
I'm not sure whether we can, but if we do, we do. I'd like
Fair
to.
enough.
As you are making your way to the Christmas Court, you get the general idea that it's been a bad year for Britain, even if it hasn't been particularly bad for your court. Saxon victories in the east and south. Cerdic defeated, which normally people would celebrate, except he is also your southern barrier against invasion, and he has not raided you or in any way acted dishonorably. You also receive word that an anti-pope was raised several years ago by the Byzantine emperor, and that the attempt to have the two popes reconcile with each other led to Pope Symmachus fleeing in the middle of the night, and then all of the bishops basically were like, "Whoa, that seems like you have something to hide, Symmachus. Are you afraid of these theological charges leveled against you?" And so it sounds as if this anti-pope Laurentius, who is now he plans to lead a crusade and arrive at a synod in Rome, he will essentially become pope by the fact that no one addresses the current pope. They all plan to support Laurentius. For the folks at home, anti-poping is a thing that happens throughout history, where someone with a lot of money goes, "You want to be pope? I don't like the current pope. I want you to be pope."
If I make you pope, you'll recommunicate me, right?
Or you'll excommunicate my wife so I can divorce her. Classic pope behavior, honestly. Yeah,
I
what do you
highly
guys want to
recommend
do?
all of the Pope fight videos.
Pope fight videos?
Overly sarcastic productions. They do a bunch of history and literature stuff.
Does it include
they've got a
the
whole
only female
Pope
Pope,
fights.
Joanna?
They've got a whole Pope fights playlist. Highly recommend.
I have to say, the Pope that was Pope when I was a young kid, was that John Paul II or whatever?
Yep.
The guy with the red shoes? He was like the Emperor. Like, not the Emperor from Warhammer 40k, the Emperor from Star Wars. He was like an evil-looking Pope all the time. He was a weird dude. That's it. That's all I have to add. He's a weird guy. I do have another thing to add. My favorite Pope is the fake Pope from... Is it called 7 Days? Or maybe it's just called 7. It's a show that came out in the early 2000s, I want to say, about a Navy SEAL test pilot who ends up going back in time for 7 days. And it's basically the quantum leap of its time. He inhabits somebody else's body for those 7 days, and he's sent back in time to solve military crimes, essentially. And he gets sent back as the Pope in one of the episodes, and was like slapping people. He doesn't speak Latin, so it's basically hugely scandalous. You know, this is like a young guy who has to now pretend to be like 60 years old, so he's like hobbling everywhere, and he's like, "Oh yes, my child." Everyone's like, "Why is this guy speaking English? He's the Pope." That show was absolutely wild. What do you guys want to do at this winter feast where things are not somber exactly, but they certainly aren't cheerful?
I mean, can we liven things up with, the usual tale telling, or
Of course.
can the jonglers come forth and inspire people?
Oh, the jonglers can always come forth and inspire people. Is there a particular bardcore song that you wish to request of them?
That's up to Kyned.
Oh, I mean, if you have a request, Gwgan, I'm,
What's on Bardcore on YouTube?
James didn't get keyed into the bardcore legends during COVID. This is how you can tell.
What do you mean?
It became really big during COVID, where people were doing bardcore covers.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with the Bardcore YouTube channel.
I see.
Yeah. Well, they've got, here's one. Holding Out for a Hero.
Okay.
Bardcore style.
Somewhere out there with a harp is like, ding, 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 ding. Everyone's like, oh, it's my favorite. Knights are the real heroes. It's a good thing that they recently added 3 background singers too, because that's pretty crucial to that song.
For sure. It's a good one, though.
If you guys don't have any plots or plans, we can just move to
the only thing Kendric is going to do is like...
Oh, yes. I forgot to mention. you were part of the hunt personally, and while you weren't able to hunt the legendary beast, you did fire the arrow that knocked the 16-point prong off of one of the horns of the legendary, not steer, hold on, stag.
Heart? Stag?
Yes,
Okay.
stag. So you have the horned heart's horns.
The horned heart's horns. Okay.
They say that old One Horn continues to wander the forest. One day, perhaps it will allow itself to be caught by a master hunter, but it is not this day.
Speaking of Master Hunter, has there been any word of Good King Pele?
Yes, of course. There's always word about good King Pelennor doing good deeds across the land while hunting the questing beast. They say he's somewhere near Devon.
Okay.
He's questing. And although he isn't cursed to speak in rhyme or song, he still just does it sometimes, just because he likes to do that. He only does it off camera when I'm not forced to dialogue him, though. I just didn't want to do it this time.
The only other thing I have is attempting to recruit for the Bright Plains Riders.
Oh, interesting. Wow, what should I make?
And I
roll?
might try and rope Kyned into helping me out with this if it's an intrigue roll.
Interesting. I don't know that it is an intrigue roll, unless it could be
Maybe
an intrigue
courtesy?
roll if you were forcing people to join you.
No,
By
I'm
like
thinking it's-
putting them in your debt, or like putting them in a situation where it would be better for them to join a mercenary company and move far away rather than deal with the consequences of their actions.
No, I think basically kind of his approach is he's going to be, talking to the other, lords and ladies of Salisbury, and if they have any cousins or uncles that are maybe esquires and they're not landed, they're not knights, but they have the skills to be men-at-arms, if they're looking for a place for them to go, I have this mercenary company that is currently recruiting, and they, could win glory and honor for not only for Salisbury, but also for their families. And,
I'm going to offer you 3 roles, and you'll select one of them. Reckless, worldly, indulgent.
Okay.
Based on everything you said, those sound like the appropriate attributes. This is your Crusader Kings 3. Here's your 3 options.
Sure.
All right. And it says failure, stress gain, critical break.
So it was reckless what?
Reckless, worldly, or indulgent. I'm using indulgent as essentially greedy. I know it's supposed to be like for drink and such, but I also think that could kind of... I was spending a lot of time looking for greedy, or someone who likes money.
Could also be selfish, but I
Stick with
think I'm
indulgent.
gonna do. I'll go with indulgent then.
Okay.
Well,
Go to a lot of parties.
yeah, I was gonna say, are there different like results or different?
No, the result is success or failure.
Okay,
There.
I will go with indulgent then. That is a success.
Okay, check mark indulgent. You spend a lot of time going to different tables at this feast, drinking a little bit more than you have in a few years, eating a little bit more red meat. It's maybe a little bluer than normal, a little rarer than normal. And you King Robert yourself for a little while here, to the slight embarrassment of your family and especially your wife, who occasionally pulls you away to give you a few minutes to drink some water and calm down. But you, the one that they now call the Old Wolf, or some have called the Wise Wolf, to represent how long you've lived as a warrior. And they say there are old wolves and there are bold wolves, but there are few old bold wolves.
Maybe they'll start calling me the War Wolf.
Wow, no, they're never gonna call you that. You could try to start that yourself, but I'm not gonna have people call you that. I already paid to have someone call you that, so I paid real American dollars.
And I appreciate that.
This is a reference to the end of the original Solaris Knights, where Duncan Fisher's voice actor narrated Spoon's victory. His character's name, the Werewolf. No one said spoilers there, Spoon. Yeah, you get around, you get some drinking, and I think you're probably overwhelmed with offers to get rid of useless uncles and third sons and people who aren't appropriate to send to monasteries. Anyway, you know, old nags and horses that they can't use but have to get rid of. So the you know, like, you get a bunch of volunteer riders who are riding the worst horses you've ever seen, wearing battered third-hand armor that looks like it's still Roman in its manufacture, like from the original Roman invasion 90 years ago. But you probably pick up, let's say, 30 more men.
And I will basically give Nor the instructions of, like, you know, put these guys through their paces, make sure that they're, you know, good enough. And
how many years would you like to give me to do that?
We'll go with 3.
All right. He looks surprised and he says, "Okay, I was kind of joking, but all right, if you want us to train for 3 years, we can do that. You're paying for it, boss.
Let's do.
Just give me the winner to get him sorted out."
Yeah, I was gonna say you should have the ones who can fight sorted out by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think we'll probably be able to find a handful who can fight. A handful's 5 or less, just to be clear.
Understood.
What do you want me to do with the rest?
Send them packing.
They're not gonna like that.
Well, this is it's better than sending them home in a casket.
You could do one of those things like with the Foreign Legion, where you put them through like a really, really harsh training regimen where either they wash out straight away or they become really hardcore soldiers.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's about the only military training in this time, too. Let's be honest. No one maintains professional soldieries besides mercenaries in this time period.
And that's kind of what I want him to do, is to be like, go hard on these guys and make sure that they, you know, are either fighters at the end of it or they go home.
I'd like you to make a battle roll at -5.
Okay. That is another 13.
Yeah. You get about 5 actual guys about it, and you get several angry letters from people who are like, "I thought you were getting rid of my cousin Eustisford. He's returned to my estate, and he didn't bring the horse back. Good Sir Kendric, you may be a knight banneret, but you are no mercenary commander. Can you do something about Eustisford? And let me tell you something additional about my relationship with Lord Chutneybrie." Now I'm crossing shows. Lord Chutneybrie. Yeah. He brings you, what were you down to? 6? You're back up to
6.
about 11.
Yep.
Competent riders. And several angry nobles across the land who are concerned that you weren't able to rid them of useless relatives who suck away their resources.
Start a second tab in my notes and do the band of the
Bright Plain Riders.
plain
Right up until you rename them. Although they've now been to battle under the banner of the Bright Plain Riders.
Yeah, I was thinking of renaming them to the Bright Lancers, but
you have to do that before the first battle. It's locked in now, you know, for 30 years before you could change it again.
They just need to cut a promo, like where they, you know, get up on stage. You know.
I'm John Cena, and I'm the bad guy now. Woo! Sorry, I don't know. I guess he's Ric Flair. That's John Cena. Oh my God, I would watch that movie. Okay, let's do end of year stuff. Kendric, you get 25 glory for going on the Great Hunt. I'm gonna go ahead and give Kyned 10 glory for being involved in the Gales. He got Gaelic in the Gales in Wales. I mean, there were Irish there, so he did get Gaelic in the Gales.
How much glory do we miss out on for not taking the Queen?
50. You also missed out on Morgan the Fey using witchcraft and everyone going, damn, that's a weird kid.
That's a weird, scary kid.
All right, let's do that end of your stuff.
Right, so...
Are there solo scenarios?
All right.
Yes, there is a solo scenario for Kendric.
Yeah, I was
There
going to
is
say,
your
I need to
religious
go on
experience.
Yep.
I'm going to need you to make a spiritual roll as you go around.
That's a failure on a 16.
I think that what happens is you are wandering around during the hunt of the Horned Heart. And at some point, you are aware that you're in the fairy realm. Like, you slip between two trees, and when you look around, there's no dogs, there's no, what do they call them, beaters? The peasants who are trying to, like, force stuff out in front of them. There's no one else on a horse around you. And the air feels weird. You can hear a battle going on beyond the trees, and there is shouting of, like, men getting involved, like knights charging into a battle. And you also hear the screams of, like, women who are in fear and terror. But you never make your way through the forest. You're just lost in the forest for a while. And then right when you think you're about to get out of it, you ride between two trees, and suddenly you're back at the hunt as if nothing ever happened.
Okay.
You search for religion. You search for answers. But instead, you're lost in the woods. Yes, James, lost in the woods. In the fairy woods, okay?
Right. Such a great song.
Well, I wasn't going for the song. I mean, there's plenty of people who say you're lost in the woods. I mean, it's a line from not Serenity. What's the show Serenity's based on? Firefly. Yeah, but I like being lost in the woods. It's the only time I know where I am. All right, make your rolls, gentlemen, and narrate your rolls for the audience so that they can be excited about their spreadsheets.
All right.
I'm going through all of my checks and rolls from my
Yes,
manners.
your family and such, and your
Yes.
As
You know, the best way to train up Nor is to actually succeed on a roll.
But it's not my fault that it's a 50-50. So I get a check for energetic.
For the folks at home, Antipope Laurentius was a real thing. A real event that actually happened.
For hunting. Get a check for hunting. Check to, let's see, love family.
Check for energetic.
I have
Check to Lance. Roll for
okay. I do
flirting.
not go
There
up
it
as
is.
energetic.
I did not get a check in flirting.
I also do not get a check in flirting. Roll for romance. I get a check in romance.
Get a check in hospitality. I get a check in spiritual.
Oh, I also get a check to spiritual because I have a thing.
Don't get a check in hunting.
Need to roll all these checks.
My
Romance.
falconry goes up.
My energetic does not go up. My spiritual does go up, which means my
checking
worldly
more
goes
Ellen.
down. My indulgent. My indulgent also goes up, which means my temperate goes down.
Nope. I got a check in lustful.
Ooh.
All right, that's all my checks. So let me do my actual what goes up.
Love with family does not go up.
Lustful goes up.
I think nope, hunting does not go up. But that's not surprising. It's 17. Romance also does not go up. That was surprising. It's only an 8.
My merciful goes up.
Yeah, Lance does not go up. That is all of my checks.
It does not go up.
My falconry went up, and that is the only thing that went up for me.
My hospitality goes up.
What's your hospitality roll check for? What building is that?
It's from the guest house.
Ah, nice.
My love of God goes up. Falconry does not. Intrigue does. Romance does.
Dang, James is killing it with these experience rolls.
Lance does not. That's it. Okay, I've done all my skill checks. What's next is aging.
Yes.
Yay.
This is the year I have to start rolling.
Welcome to the club.
Yep.
Let's see.
I got an 8. I do not age.
You
Nice.
sound really glad about that.
No, I think it's one thing.
I got a 4. That's 2 things. Damn.
I lose a point of strength.
Brutal. Does that lower your
Wow.
damage dice?
It's checking.
Spoon,
Does
what
not
happened
know.
to you?
I've lost a point of size.
Oh,
did lose
boy.
yeah, did drop my damage dice down to 46 now.
You and size, brother.
Yeah, dude, it's killing me. So I lost a point of size and a point of con. That's okay. I was like pretty much. Oh, that drops my hit points by 3. Jesus. Well, that was rough. Aging sucks.
Okay, my wife's stewardship goes up to 18.
I agree.
Oh, I
Aging
forgot
does
to
suck.
do that.
My priest's religion Christian goes up to 16.
Ooh, she got a 6 on industry. So her industry goes up to 16.
I think I'm done with the aging now. Oh, let me check my squire. Oh, my squire now.
You know, guys, there's always some question as to whether your computer's spying on you or whatever. But my YouTube notifications just got an advertisement that I can watch Serenity on YouTube if I pay for it free with ads. So, yeah, I don't know, guys. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure that wouldn't normally show up in my notifications. is
But
all
you've
I'm
got
saying.
you've got an Echo right next to you, don't you? Like an Amazon
Yes,
Echo.
I do. Yes.
Yeah, and they've this week they've turned off the ability to disable constant broadcast, so it's always broadcasting everything you say now back to their servers.
Wow, incredible. See, normally I'd be upset with that, but almost everything I say in front of my computer, I'm already recording in some way.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I'd prefer it didn't do that, but I need it to do all of my alarms and reminders or my life would fall apart. So, wow, what is with these Delaware earthquakes? What is going on this moment? Wonder if my house is settling again.
All right, so we're on to economic circumstances now.
Is that 3d6 plus 5 from me?
Well, we'll do that eventually, yes. But you can, if you want to roll it now, you can.
I'll just pre-roll it so you get a view of your future doom. Do you want this to be high or low?
We want it to be low.
Okay. I'm going to bet on 3, 1, 3 on these dice. 2, 1, 5.
Okay.
Below average, I think.
And then we get to take one off of that for our apiary.
Yes.
And then we roll manorial luck. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
we need to do, like work out your expected income first.
Yes, done that already. My expected. My normal income's 11, and I have 5 for investments this year.
So I need to roll for all my investments.
So my anticipated is 16.
We're rolling last year, which is absolutely dreadful. That's actually pretty good.
What is... Oh, that's your income tables. Okay.
Yeah. Expected 24. Yeah, my manorial.
Oh, that's a lot of ones.
Who will be it?
And on the...
I got a 5, which is no results.
You need a 6 for good in the current.
Someone just sent me a video called World Building, punishing the sentient garlic folk for existing. What is happening?
Seems wild.
Then am I remembering right that the next is concern my commoners for the care?
Yes.
How concerned are you?
Not very.
Yeah, me neither.
Haven't any of you motherfuckers ever heard of Noblesse Oblige? That's all I'm saying.
Then...
Okay, a member of my retinue dies. I'm going to have it be Gwgan's, it's not Gwgan's, Wayne's original mother, who was my steward for a long time. She has died.
All right.
Do I care about my commoners? I do not.
So success on the stewardship. Then I roll misfortune, correct?
Yeah. Okay, my misfortune failed.
Misfortune failed.
Wife passed.
So I get a good harvest.
Yep, good harvest for me too.
Woohoo. That means I have a manor income of 24.
I made 52.5.
Damn, James.
Like when it when I do well, it does well. But
I'm going to attempt to rebuild my salt evaporator that blew up last time.
Fortune.
I do.
Fortune is a success. Wife's stewardship. It's also a success. Which means
Every time I hear salt evaporator,
killer.
I'm taken back to my engineering chemistry 101 class where the professor is like, if you can design a device that can remove enough gold from salt water that it makes you more money than it takes to operate the device, you will be rich. It's almost like, oh, how much gold can you get from salt water? And he's like, 1 part per 100 million or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you talk about this salt evaporator, that's all I can think about. Also, what part of the salt evaporator could burn down? Isn't it just like a wet sheet over top of a basin of water?
so I have rolled a death in the family for my event. So what I might do is I might take the death in the family to be Wayne's mother, and I'll take the retinue death to be the priest at my church.
That's
so
okay. The church will send you a new priest.
I get a fresh priest, but it'll reset his skill back to the base skill level.
Oh.
So, I just rolled a 1 for my event.
Clearly he's skilled up this year because he met God personally.
Don't worry, Pope Laurentius will send you a new priest.
I also got a death in the family. Let's get my family tree up.
It should be your direct heir.
No.
Have you moved on to family roles? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, it sounds like people have. Yeah.
Well, I need to roll for death of children too. So
Also, consider death of a salesman.
Oh, you know what? Let's see here.
And it's 14 that we get to stop rolling for their deaths?
15.
15.
Like 14 is the last year that you roll.
Okay. And it's technically, okay. All right. So
my heir is actually
a bunch of people that will.
My heir is safe from rolling now. He's 15 years old. I need to roll 7 d20s. No ones, thankfully. Finally. So everybody's good.
I'm gonna try for children. It's plus. If I'm gonna live superlative this year since I did so well.
+3.
Yeah. So that's 15 for superlative.
The oldest member of my
Is that correct?
family.
15 for superlative?
That sounds right.
Okay.
No children die. I've got the I've got the chart here for childbirth if you want to roll.
So superlative is +3 on that, or
if you're superlative, only a 1 will kill the child.
No, for childbirth, not for child death. You have the chart handy normally, AP?
I have the chart, but it doesn't say.
Yeah, hold on.
There it is. Superlative +5 for birth and +2 for survival.
That sounds right.
Okay. So I get a 13 child born. Twins born.
Congratulations.
And 2 girls.
Is my aunt, Lowry de Pitton, dies.
It feels like a good time to mention that roast flamingo is a Roman dish whose recipe has survived to the modern day.
D6+1.
Yeah, training and practice.
Hey, it's decent roll for
Still
once.
adding my kids.
Oh, I see. Nice. There you go, James. There's your good roll finally.
Yeah.
He gets 1 good roll a night. Is that it?
No, for specifically.
He has to spend fate on it though, so he can re-roll with advantage.
Yeah, specifically on training and practice.
And superlative, we've said, means the kids can't die.
No, you still have to roll a 1.
On a 1, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because I've had several kids die, and I took aging rolls for them.
I have put all my points into stewardship because now that I'm, actually in a role where I should be stewarding, and the woman that was doing it for me has now passed away.
Good time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my sword up to a 20.
Oh, Darwani of Laverstock is dead.
You can take an aging roll
Yeah,
to
no,
have
I'm
them
good with that.
survive.
Oh, well.
Because that's one that hates you, right? That was the oldest
Yes.
Yeah, that was the
of
heir.
the old kids.
I
Yep.
was planning to bring that storyline back up in a couple of episodes, but yeah, I mean, the true inheritor being dead kind of. Well, there might be some questions. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Mysterious
Mhm.
death. Oh, here we go. Year
Mhm.
502, mysterious death.
Okay,
Questions
now
about Kyned's stewarding and wording.
family events. That's a 10. Birth in the family.
I will say, as a Crusader Kings 3 fan, taking children hostage is always a bad idea because if anything happens to them at all, you get a huge reputation penalty. Even if it's like they stub their toe, they'll be like, -40! Everyone in the world hates you! How could you allow a children to be injured on your watch? And I'll be like, bro, that was a random event that didn't even happen to me. I literally could do nothing to stop it.
Yeah, I had nothing to do with it.
Of course, the other half of Crusader Kings 3 is figuring out how you can murder enough children to allow your daughter to matrilineally marry the third son of the King of France so that you inherit the title.
Yeah.
Spoons recently read some of my plots that go a little like that. Right before it goes, and then the Rasselhag Dominion shattered into 1,000 pieces.
Yeah. Because who knew
No
40
one
years
had a good
later
time.
everyone would hate each other.
I guess Krieg has another daughter.
Oh, you had a birth in the family.
Yes.
Very nice.
I think I'm done other than glory.
Okay, that was
Yes.
my family
Copy that, glory.
events. So then training and practice. Oh, what do I want to do this year? I will add a point to Valorous.
Nice.
So now I am known for being valorous.
Very nice.
Okay. I am to glory.
Okay. You guys had very minor glory awards beyond whatever you get for your other glory stuff.
My
Yep.
total glory is now 8550.
Nice.
Good number.
I gained 163 glory, so my new glory is 3384.
I will let you know in just 1 second. My new glory is 8504.
Wow, you're sniffing at Gwgan's lead there.
I mean, he's always good. He's getting more annual glory than me, though.
Right up until the heir becomes old enough to take back the house.
Sure. Yeah. But
In
that's
year
still.
506 of our Lord.
Oh, is that when? Is that when the heir will take
Right?
over?
It's when she's old enough to inherit.
Who's that? My one.
Yes.
So
Your
she's
lady?
she's 16 now, so 5 more years.
Yep, 506.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay. I guess so. Then mine's in 507.
Yeah, so she's 16, which means she's just perfected the eye roll.
I mean, we just saw her at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. Well, I think I have to figure out who I want my heir to Squire for.
Have you considered Sir Leo?
I think we decided last time, Kendric, that you were squiring my heir.
Elfin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elfin de Laverstock, who is 17 now.
He is now 17. Yeah.
17.
I'm certainly planning for Gwgan to sort of like, once the heir of Owain is old enough that Gwgan will sort of fade back into courtly duties, and other duties with the Countess, rather than waiting for him to die before taking over like a mid-20s character.
I see. Just to Crusader Kings 3 it again, you reach the point where a historical character appears and it says, "Would you like to play this character or continue your dynasty?" Wow, Crusader Kings 3 really has thought of everything, hasn't it? Including that part where if you follow a duck, you die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Normally, there's only a 1% chance you'll die if you follow the duck, but if you're a 60-year-old man in northwest India, there's a 5% chance that you'll die if you follow the duck. And I don't know why, but it's hard-coded. Gentlemen,
wild.
we won't be back next week, but we will be back, probably. I mean, I don't control time, space, or the cause and effect of events.
Or people's schedules.
I do not control the rate at which lobsters die. Anything we'd like to say before we say goodbye?
I might be doing some leather work tomorrow on twitch.tv/Glimo. Keep an eye out.
Twitch.tv/Glimo.
Twitch.tv/Glimo.
We have to say it 7 times so people will remember it. So
You have to say twitch.tv/Glimo 7 times.
if you've got long-term payments and you need cash now.
Yeah, might be doing some Celtic knot work. So.
Oh, very nice.
This guy. All these craftsmen that show up in my channel and are like, look at this beautiful art that I make. And I'm like, I can't draw a straight line.
Neither can I, but
But you can make
I can try to cut it into leather.
Not only can you make brilliant crafts, you're also like, so I took my chutney and my brie, I combined it in my roast pot with this beautiful beef, which I braised for 2 hours, with my sauvignon.
Which was delivered from the farm that is down the road from me.
Yeah, yes, my local artisanally served hock of beef. And then I used a cornstarch slurry in order to thicken up the sauce before serving it, Salisbury steak style. And I'm like, oof, okay, well, I don't want to see you smiling either, motherfucker. You over here with your hard-boiled egg ramen over here. You're like, hey, look what I made. And your wife's like, no, don't be too impressed. We used paper plates. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to microwave something I ate last week. That's okay. I cook something and I'm like, did I photograph this right? It feels like it looks weird in this picture. All right. We'll see you in what could be 2 weeks, or what may be never. We don't control the rate at which lobsters die. Have a good night. You know
Take
what?
care.
Have a good time zone.